Alright, so I picked up a couple bottles of propane. I think you always try to keep 2 on hand. One, if I run out, I don't have to go to the store. And also, if I'm forging long, propane bottle will eventually start to freeze over. I can just switch it out and not have to wait for it to go back to normal temperature. Because when it starts to freeze over, you're going to lose pressure and it doesn't work good. So I got this. This is how I normally do it. I take the biggest drill bit I can find. In this case, yes, cat. In this case, I had an 8mm drill bit on hand. And I'm just putting these little dimples into it, as many as you can. On the other side, I'm trying something different. I took a Dremel, just like a sanding drum, one of these, and put a bunch of little dents in there with it. I don't have a lot of expectations out of that because it's going to get drawn out more, so we'll see what happens on this side. This is the side I'm really probably going to get the most out of. So I'm going to put this back in the forge, heat it up, try to make sure I get that questionable weld maybe set better, and I'm going to just flatten it out more so it's all flat. What I've been told, and it seems to work, is the side you're trying to flatten out, use that face down on the anvil, to use the anvil to do the flattening. But I also have a flatter hammer, which I use as well. It makes it easy. You don't have to worry about getting marks from your hammering if you're not really good with your hammering. Also, it's starting to get dark, and that's where it gets hard for me to see, and I screw up with the hammer. So I'm going to go forge this out, and I'll probably just do it just enough to make these smooth and flat. And take a look at it. Hopefully, I want to try to keep it pretty on the thick side. Then I'm going to repeat that process, drill a bunch of more holes in it, maybe some other kind of patterns, and flatten it out one more time. So we'll go through it and come back after I'm done forging it to see where we're at. I just want to show you, I'm not putting it right under the flame. I'm keeping it off to the side, and I'm turning it pretty frequently. I want to get it up to welding heat again, just to try to fix that little part I'm worried about. Then I'm going to finish drawing it out a bit. I put a hot piece of steel on my anvil to get it warmed up. Alright, fresh out of the forge. It's not going to look like much with all the forge scale on it, of course. You're not going to see any of the pattern. I don't know, I did probably like 4 cycles of heating and hammering. First cycle I got it up to forging temperature and tried to close that. I still don't know about it. I see it here, but it's solid, definitely, but I don't know. Try to straighten it up a little bit. The more I do that, the more it's gonna, I don't know, make problems here at the end, I think. So I'm gonna leave it pretty much like that, just flatten it out a little bit more. I was talking about using a flatter hammer. That's one of these. These are awesome. They're very good for a lot of things. I was lucky I found not one, but 2 of them at the junkyard. Here's the other one. So at the junkyard here, they just sell whatever you take by the kilo. So I probably paid like €1 for both of those. I've seen them go for like 100. Anyways, what I'm going to do is put this on the belt grinder, both sides real quick, so we can see what the pattern's looking like. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some more patterning to it. Just put it under the drill press, nice fat drill bit, and drill a bunch of more holes. But I'm going to grind this away first so I can see what it's starting to look like. That's always the fun part of revealing it. Like I said, you'll do a lot of unnecessary cleanup because it's going to go back in the forge after that. If you have like some pickling solution, I don't know. I'm guessing that would help take off the forge scale. I had some homemade. I think it's just vinaigrette, and I can't remember what else I added to it. I got to look it up again. But it's got to be kept warm, so it's a pain in the butt. And I actually accidentally contaminated it. I used some metal pliers to grab something out of it, which I shouldn't have done. If you're using a pickling solution, you want to use like chopsticks or wooden tweezers or your fingers to get it out, not another kind of metal. It did make an interesting effect on the patinas, though. It did make it more like of a black in that round one I had. I don't know where I put it. Oh, here it is. It gives it this darker look. The nickel turns black in the vinegar. All right, so let's clean this up, put some more holes in it. And I don't know if it's getting late, so figure out when I'm done, if I'm going to finish this tonight or tomorrow. Alright, so I ground it down really quick just to start revealing the pattern. That's from where I drilled it in. This side's just from the Dremel, didn't do anything interesting like I expected. The layers of the edges can look cool, but that's just roughly ground just to get some of the scale off. Did the sides, which is not necessary at this point, just wasting abrasives, but I wanted to show you what it looks like. It's a pretty cool pattern going on that I don't know is picking up very well on this camera. Anyway, I'm going to just drill a bunch of more holes here and then draw it out probably like, I'm going to go for like 2/3 of this thickness. I want to keep a thicker piece because I have a lot of thinner ones. Alright, so drilled a few more dimples into it. A little deeper on some of them than I did last time just because I want to make it a bigger kind of raindrop. You see I got a little bit of a delamination on a layer here, where I drilled right next to another one. That happened because I'm making a video of it, otherwise it doesn't happen. So that's the theory behind that. Honestly, I don't know why that happened. It only looks like from a sheet of 1/4, I'm guessing. So I'll just pluck those off with some pliers. It's a bit late and it's going to be dark, but I'll put a light outside and I'm going to finish this tonight. So I'm going to fire this up in the forge and flatten it out a little bit more. I'm going to go for like 2/3 of this thickness, somewhere around there. Try to get as flat even as possible. Alright, so there is my final pattern. I think this big nickel part here is that delamination. And it's hard to see it, especially the way my camera likes to focus. But I mean, I just ground it really quick with like a 60 grit, I think. And the other side didn't turn out too bad either. This area on both sides, like that, looks pretty cool. Almost like a thumbprint, if the camera would focus. Anyways, it's hard to see until you do some kind of patina to it. And there's a lot of ways to do that. Just keep in mind, some are more permanent than others. So if you do a patina and you don't like it, it's easy to just buff it out or sand it out and redo it. For the sake of this video, I'm just going to do a quick one with a torch. So start getting the oranges coming out. My camera will focus. That's it. Get the oranges, the deep ones in there. This is really hard to do and hold the camera for some reason. Cool a bit. Kind of rushing it, so I'm screwing it up. You gotta let it cool a bit longer in between. Get it quick, back off. You're almost like chasing the colors with the flame. Now that's starting to get cool. God, it is muggy as hell today, really humid. So now I'm getting the purple. Alright, so that's just for a quick example. This, this is just to show it. God damn this thing. What can be done with just a torch. But I mean, that's not super durable. I'm usually using these pieces for knife handle parts, for bolsters, for guards, for pommels, etc. So, I mean, if like this one was like this, sort of, and just last night I was just kind of doing that to it, and it turned more just a flat color, but still does that effect to the copper. So it's a cool way to do it. One of the many ways to patina the copper. What I normally am going to do, though, is sand this down, go up in grits, and get it really nice and smooth, then put it on a buffer. Then I'll do this kind of finish to it. If you want the finish to last longer, you can give it a clear coat, some spray acrylic or spray lacquer, whatever, beeswax, whatever, Renaissance wax. That will protect it. But for a knife part, I don't think that'll last very long. But it does look cool. So if you're doing something like jewelry, this is great if you like the look of it. So this is not permanent. It comes off very easy if you start sanding it, or even with like steel wool. I am going to sand this down really smooth, get a nice mirror-like finish, and then I'll complete it. So the pattern I wasn't super impressed with, but once you start doing the work to it, then it really makes it pop. I even like the way I screwed it up and got the stack off center. That also makes some cool layers. And no delaminations. The reason I delaminate, I was thinking about when I was forging this last round. I was putting multiple dents in it with a drill bit, and I probably overheated it, so that outer layer just had a small delam. That's my guess anyways. So if you're using a drill bit, just give it a little time in between to cool. Spray some cutting oil on it or whatever, so take your time with it. And that's the thing with Mokume Gane. Do not rush it. That's where you screw things up. It's pretty easy once you get it down, but it's pretty easy to screw up, and it's more time consuming than I think a lot of people realize. To do it properly anyways. So thanks for watching. I will do a final video on this once I have this completely done, maybe even used for part of a knife. But that's it for this for now. It should be enough to walk you through making Mokume Gane with coins without hopefully not losing a bunch of money as far as the coins go.